Hey guys, this is May from Team Garyvee. I'm Gary's international strategist and community manager. Today I'll be working with Jim to explain the content model through this 4Ds.
This portion is like with me, so I think this is when you need to get selfish. Like you need to ask your question. Hiring is guessing, firing is knowing. Like you gotta go fast. That's how you get shit done. That's how you figure stuff out.
This is the television, and the television is the radio.
So 4Ds, motherfuckers.
So what we're going to do now is walk through 6 different moments that we pulled out from this episode, and we're going to explain to you like why we picked them, why we didn't pick them, how we reimagined them for each platform, and what the impact of those were at the end of this episode.
I value the trenches, and people value the ivory towers, and that is why nobody scares me.
So before we go into explain how we use the content model, I actually want to explain what the content model is. So the content model is actually a pillar piece of content that we use to break into individual smaller pieces of content. We use the pillar content to reuse, reshape, reformat so we can fit into different platforms. Now the content model itself is actually available to everyone right now. It's a free 86-page deck that is available on Garyvee.com/content model. So now we're going to dive into how we use the content model and how you can use it as well.
Buying the New York Jets is my ambition. The process of trying is my happiness.
So for this clip, we actually had 4 titles that we, meaning Gary and the team, came up with. When we presented on Twitter, we actually showed a raw clip with subtitles on it. Over 50% of the audience don't listen with sound on. So this is the first way that we engage the audience. Second, we actually use the poll options on Twitter, which has a 25-character limit, and we presented the 4 titles in a sequence, and then we let the community choose which title they like best. By engaging our audience, we're able to create a ripple effect among our community. 1, they get to participate in creating content for Gary, so that hypes them up. 2, we give them early exposure to the piece of content. So when the full thing comes out, which is the full pillar content, people will feel more excited and more familiar with that piece of content. And 3, it helps our audience feel special because this is actually an exclusive piece of content that we haven't shown to anyone else.
Meanwhile, the entire company's out of here at 6 p.m. except my team. I don't require my employees to live the same framework I live.
We're always looking for strong, actionable messages, and in this one, there's a little bit of a twist. So when Gary says, hey, the entire company's out at 6 o'clock, we think our users are gonna find that kind of interesting, given Gary's work ethic, which is so legendary. The second part about this is that we framed this clip to appeal to 2 different audiences. One being the employer that's doing the hiring and firing, but the second is from the employee, who's often misunderstood as someone who doesn't work hard enough. When Gary stands up for the employee, we found that that's been very well responded to.
I grew up in the alcohol, I owned weedlibrary.com in 1997.
So in this clip, Gary actually talks about owning weedlibrary.com in 1997.
I've been on cannabis, but I'm not a cannabis expert. I'm patient and thoughtful and pay attention. I don't need to brand myself as an expert do you know how many people literally that we all know on Twitter or other things have in the last 4 years been a social media expert, a blockchain expert, and a cannabis expert? And there's nothing wrong with chasing news. I mean, there's a lot of quick money to be made. And I don't judge, it's just not what I'm interested in. And so timing matters to me. And so for example, if we're gonna go practical on the blockchain conversation, we got a long way to go.
So we ended up not using this clip because Gary jumped from this topic that we wanted to use into a different topic. And that in turn helped us realize like, oh, he didn't finish his thought process and we didn't want to just put this out and not provide enough value to our audience.
Instagram especially has just captured so many people of a generation. They literally post to maximize likes.
So Gary often tackles topics that others shy away from. So when he does that, we like to take that opportunity to answer a really important question that people are often afraid to ask. When we build Instagram clips, we do it in a very specific way. There's 4 things we try to include with almost every video. The first being a hook. And that's a 3 to 5 second video clip that we move to the front of the video to capture people's attention as they're scrolling through the feed.
When I post that, I get 4,000 likes, but when I post my ass or my boobs, I get 15,000 and I can't stop.
Next, we include the sonic branding tag. This is something that we include on every clip. It's a mandatory requirement because Gary's very high on the future of voice, and this is how we're going to establish our branding on all the videos that we have out there. Next, we craft a title that provides actionable advice. That's something that we've seen our audience responds really well to when Gary provides motivational, actionable guidance and instruction on how to do something.
Instagram especially has just captured so many people of a generation. They literally post to maximize likes. They've killed their own creativity. People start creative on Instagram when people start following them, and then they become a robot of the machine because they know it's, do you know how many attractive women, young women, ask me secretly, like at a conference or in a DM of like, I really know a lot about health and wellness, but when I post that, I get 4,000 likes, but when I post my ass or my boobs, I get 15,000 and I can't stop. And I'm like, okay, how about not having your self-esteem wrapped up in how many likes you get on Instagram? But it becomes the machine.
Our call to actions are really important because it is the closure of that video, and we really hope that users, after watching this video, will take action. It's the core to every message that Gary has is to do. So we try to close with some specific direction as to what you should be thinking about or doing next.
I would be a top 5 sportscaster in our society right now if I started. I know a lot about sports, and I know how the framework works. I'd be bigger than Stephen A. Smith, I promise.
As you can see, it's actually a TikTok clip. Gary's been super bullish about TikTok, and we want to make sure moving forward, any clip that we ingest, that we actually think about the platform. What we did was actually go into TikTok and find a trending song that could match this moment. Once we found that song, we actually did our own version and our own editing of that song in Adobe Premiere. Once we finished the whole packaging of that clip, we exported it into TikTok and actually chose the same song in TikTok, but muted it so the algorithm on TikTok would know that, hey, we used the song, but we actually just had our own version on top of it.
Podcast excites me for a lot of reasons, because it's a triple arbitrage.
In this clip, Gary gives very tactical advice. So when he does that, we really like to take advantage of it and build it out in extensive ways.
One, you get the podcast, and people are listening in the world today.
And what we love about audio is when you're on the treadmill or walking the dog, you can consume. Passive audio consumption is going to continue to compound in value.
Two, you film the podcast, which gives you an ungodly amount of post-production capabilities. You get one motherload piece of content for your YouTube and Facebook video. You could then get the potential to have 6 to 19 pieces of other content that come from a moment or two. And then the third arbitrage and the triple arbitrage is your guest. I'm doing something right now that's super interesting. I've posted a question from Mark Cuban, and yesterday I posted a question from Shawn Mendes. Both over-indexed, both over 1 million views on Instagram, which is a high watermark for me because they have brand equity.
But wait, there's more.
And if you hire a writer, you're actually quadruple arbitraging. Now you can turn it into written form, the transcription. Which led me to what ended up being the holy grail of, I'm gonna just fucking film myself as often as humanly possible and post-produce.
In this case, we built 3 different pieces of content, one being a cartoon that we published to LinkedIn that summed up the concept in a really short, punchy way. The second being an Instagram clip, which we assigned as a heavy hitter for the day. And so a heavy hitter clip is one that we will take the whole day to produce and build because we want to give it special attention and be really thoughtful and strategic about how we roll it out. The third is that we built a slide deck that takes this concept that we summarized in a cartoon on LinkedIn and built it out extensively for LinkedIn. So now people can pore over this tactical advice step by step and capture all the nuances of what Gary's suggesting. Now, we only showed you a few examples of the micros that we created from this hour-long meeting, but let's take a look at the total impact this whole library of content had.
Hey everyone, we knew that was a lot to digest and it probably seems overwhelming right now. But although you may be thinking that, how can I do this without a team Gary? If you really think about it, Gary actually started doing this all by himself for 10 plus years before he got a team Gary. So really what we want to do is empower you to know that just start with one pillar piece of content and one micro, and just get going and just test and see what you like and what works for you. Wishing you guys the best.
Okay. Gary has, started off so well. All right. Gary asked us to create a special.
Hey guys, I know that may seem overwhelming, everything that we just talked about, but we really don't want you to feel that way. You might be thinking, how do we do this without a Team Garyvee? Team Garyvee! Team Garyvee! I'm sorry.